Let's bring in Bassima Alghussein. She is with the Truman Security Project. She is a political expert and passionate about the issue of immigration. Bassima, there are cities around the nation that facilitate the lives of undocumented immigrants. They're known as sanctuary cities. But Donald Trump has tried to suspend federal funding to these cities. He's been blocked by a federal judge. But what do you make of his attempt?
Well, first and foremost, this is just another example of broken promises to his supporters, of extremely abusive, unconstitutional overreach of executive powers, and of an abandonment of conservative principles of federalism. The bottom line is conservatives believe that state and local municipalities should obtain power over what is in their jurisdiction. And we already know that this was an unconstitutional attempt by the Trump administration, again, another step at overreaching executive branch powers because, of course, the courts struck it down again, which, as we saw, the same thing happened with Muslim ban, not just once, but twice. And so I'm hopeful that within the next 100 days, the president will have a firmer understanding of what is, in fact, his jurisdiction and a better respect for the system of checks and balances and separation of powers.
So I really want to bring in Yolo back to this conversation. Yolo, the figures that you shared with us earlier were from before Trump took office. So we actually don't know how those numbers have impacted his policy changes in the first 3 months of office when it comes to immigration. What can you tell us?
Well, absolutely, because it's too early. And they have this curious way of counting the numbers as well from October onwards. So it's far too early to see whether any Donald Trump policy is actually biting into those numbers. But, you know, really, let's show you the front line for the border agencies when they deal with people being apprehended, people being detained on the border, trying to arrive in the United States illegally. And the figures show, the latest figures that we have from the Department of Homeland Security, that, you know, 42,500 people were detained in January, and that's down to 16,500, just over 16,500 in March. Now, this has been jumped on by the administration saying, well, this is a sign of success, that even though immigration has been very difficult legislatively for President Trump in this first 100 days, at least these figures seem to show that they are coming down. However, when you look at the trend, the last 3 months of last year, then you see that they are coming down sharply, and that's down to the border agency patrols, the immigration and customs enforcement. And I was in Nogales myself last year, and I was filming along that border, talking to the border agents, and, you know, they've stepped up the different ways they have to try not just to stop migrants coming in, but obviously the drug smugglers. And the drug smuggling is a huge, huge problem along parts of that southwest border. Tetiana.
Certainly a lot to digest, Yolo. Thank you. You know, Bassima, immigration really isn't the only issue for Donald Trump. He's failed to pass health care. He's failed to pass tax reform. You wrote an op-ed that actually says, in all of this, it's the American people who are the biggest losers. Explain your viewpoint.
Well, the bottom line, Tetiana, as we know, the Trump administration failed to pass his biggest campaign promise, which was the repeal and replace of Obamacare. And so perhaps the art of the deal should be renamed the art of disaster. The proposal that he put forth was not only untenable in Congress, which is why it didn't even get a vote on the floor of the House, but it was also a major disruption and would have been a major setback for the people that he claims to champion, working women and working families. Had this bill been repealed and replaced, we would have seen major setbacks for women for access to maternity care, access to contraceptive services. We would have seen an increase in their cost and less care. And again, you know, the president promised that he would put America first, and it's really clear that when he's not on the golf course, he's busy putting Americans last, particularly American women.
So quickly, Bassima, looking forward to the next 100 days, how hopeful or fearful are you?
Well, to be perfectly honest, Tetiana, I'm extremely fearful. I mean, the bottom line is in these first 100 days, we've seen a lot of reality show tactics, especially in this week leading up to his 100th day, trying to act like he's getting a lot done when in fact he's not. So for example, the one-page tax outline that he sent to Congress is really just a hookup and should be renamed the Trump discount for friends and families, because the only people who are going to benefit from this terrible plan, if it does in fact come to fruition, are his corporate crony friends. So it is my hope that his Trump tax plan will not be successful within the next 100 days. And in fact, I don't think it has any legs in Congress, because I don't think it will be popular with constituents either on the Republican side or the Democratic side. Again, he claimed to be a populist president out there for the working man, but again, we haven't seen any macroeconomic policies that he's put forth to help the manufacturing industry, other than these quick reality show stunts of, walking into a plant and saving 1,000 jobs. I mean, that's really it. But when we look at the jobs reports that have come out in the months since he's taken office, we've seen the slowest add in new jobs also in the manufacturing sector since in the last 10 years. So within these few months, we don't see job growth, we see job decline. So again, it's more broken promises to the American people.
Bassima Alghussein, some pretty strong views. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.